Welcome. I want to say thank you for joining us, taking time away from busily working in your business to working on your business, being able to gain additional insights, education, that one thing that you can put into place immediately to see some results and actually serve your clients at a higher level. That is an advanced move when you are investing in yourself and working on your business. Today's topic is going to be winning conversations that engage your clients. If you find that you're having rather bland conversations, they don't seem as engaging as you know they could be or that you would like them to be, that is like talking to a teenager in your house that has on noise reducing headsets, just can't hear a word you're saying. They're tuned out. So we want to talk about today how to have people tune in instead of tuning out. When you are engaging in people, whether it is during an enrolling conversation with a new potential client, during advisory meetings, or at networking events, and you want people to really be engaged in what you're saying, they're connecting, they are interested in wanting to know more, then you are absolutely in the right place. We are going to cover all of those things today. Steve, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Lauren, I would love to. So hi, my name's Steve Fogelman, and as you can see by the last name, Lauren and I are related. We have been married for quite a few years and been working together for a long time. I am a therapist turned business coach, and I'm going to be your co-host today. I'll also be working the chat and also working the polls. So Lauren, I'm excited to get started. Back to you.
Thank you. A little bit about me is I'm a sports psychologist turned business coach. What I have found is that there's a lot of similarities between athletes achieving their peak potential and growth-minded accounting professionals. However, 3 differences. The very first difference is we wear slightly different uniforms than athletes do. Difference number 2 is we are aiming for different numbers than they are. And difference number 3 is athletes right from the very beginning as peewees have someone on the outside that is mentoring, training, coaching them. Whereas business owners, accounting professionals, we tend to be a little bit more fiercely independent. We love serving our clients and helping them, but we don't enjoy asking for help as much. Because of that, we might absolutely achieve our goals that we set for ourselves. However, it might take a little bit longer because we're navigating the course, figuring it out on our own, instead of getting someone on the outside, giving us that advice, giving us some trainings, giving us some insights to be able to course correct and achieve what we want faster than thinking about it on our own. So that's the difference that I see between high-ranking, achieving athletes and growth-minded accounting professionals. Plus, as you can see, from 2018 to 2021, I have been named as one of the top 22 business coaches by HubSpot, and that is my #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Success Solution.
Well, Lauren, let's dive right in. Whether it's a new client consultation, advisory session, or network meeting, what are the 3 golden rules that turn regular conversations into more memorable conversations?
Well, this is 1, 2, 3. What you really want to do, the very first thing, no matter what type of conversation you're having with someone, is you want to put them before you. You want to focus on what's important to them, what's in their best interest before you start thinking about yours. That is going to help make it actually a very engaging, memorable conversation from the other person's point of view. Once again, them before you. Part of what I think goes with this also is you want to give before you can expect to get. That means think about what is it that you can do for that other person? Is there maybe a connection that you can make for them? Maybe some tip or insight you can give that would be helpful for them. But once again, give before you can get. How can you maybe give them something before you can expect something in return? And sometimes you're not going to get something in return, and that is okay. Eventually, it does come back to you in a very, very positive way, and it might be even better than expected. Number 2 is you want to go into these different conversations, whether it's a enrolling consultation with a potential new client, an advisory session, at a network meeting with some questions. You want to ask great questions that helps you to really understand the other person, what's going on with them, what they're interested in. And that really starts to have a very memorable, engaging conversation. And then number 3 is listening. Even though it sounds so basic, we all ought to be doing better listening. A lot of times that doesn't happen in conversations to the degree that it ought to. What tends to happen in conversations is maybe you're so focused on something you want to say, you're not really paying attention to the other person. And I want to encourage you to be a better listener. Really tune in and pay attention, be interested in what that other person is saying, because you might hear a nugget. You might hear something that you can actually add value to, and once again, be able to give first in order to really raise the bar of these different conversations that you're having and have them be memorable conversations. So listening is actually as much of an art as a skill, and it is about making a choice to pay attention instead of tuning someone out, just thinking about what it is that you want to respond to them. So once again, these 3 golden rules is them before you, ask great questions, and really practice listening. What we're going to cover today is knowing the 3 specific consultation questions you want to ask, engaging advisory conversations, and then 6 simple networking steps. I will absolutely give you as much as I possibly can in our short time together today. If you're interested in knowing more, talking further, I will show you how to do that when we wrap up.
Well, Lauren, what are the steps to engage high-value clients?
Well, this is right from my Raise Your Rates formula that I teach my clients how to do in order to be able to double or even triple their income without working any additional hours. By doing this, by just knowing these 5 steps and implementing them on your own, you will absolutely be able to earn more without having to add to your workload. I'm going to go through them really quickly. Number 1 is ideal client. You want to know exactly who it is that you work best with. It is that there's some clients that get a better result from you. They're more engaged. They really value and respect what you bring to the table. So understand what it is that contributes to an ideal client or even a high value client, because not everybody that has skin and breathes is going to be a great fit for you. There's a difference between those high value clients or those dream clients as opposed to the headache clients or the pain clients. And then number 2 is communicate your value. We're going to take a deep dive into this today, but when you communicate your value, then you're actually focusing on what is of interest and of value to the other person instead of what you think is of value. This is so important because a lot of times this is where the disconnect happens. What you highly value about the work that you do or the service you deliver is going to be different than what someone that you're speaking with is going to value about what it is that you do or the service that you deliver. So once again, it's them before you. You want to focus on what's of interest to them and communicate value from their point of view instead of from your point of view. And we absolutely will go deeply into that today. Number 3 is packages your services. This is when you realize that if you group a certain amount of services together, they will achieve a specific outcome for your clients. This is true for accounting needs, bookkeeping, taxes, financial services, whatever it is that you do for your clients. If you bundle certain services together, those services are going to actually go to a specific outcome, achieve a specific outcome, than if you just order a la carte services. They have greater value by bundling it together, focusing on the outcome, and by doing that, you start to separate your fees from time, which increases your earning potential. And step number 4 is value pricing. Value pricing is where you are going to price the client and understand value from their perspective, then pricing your services according to your perspective. And that is because 80 to 90% of most business owners undercharge for their services. And I want to correct that. You make a difference for your clients. You deserve to be well paid for the difference that you make for your clients. And sometimes you have to understand your value before you can expect somebody else to recognize the value that you bring to the table. So once again, value pricing your services is the way to be able to earn 2 to 3 times more that you're currently earning for doing the same amount of services, but you're just going from value according to their perspective instead of yours. And then number 5 is consultation mastery, which we will actually touch on in the first section of today's training, is how to be able to enroll new clients without being salesy. If you don't like the sales part, if you don't want to push someone in working with you, you don't want to pitch somebody, selling in and of itself is very uncomfortable to you, then this is exactly going to help to turn it around. Because I think that what you ought to be doing is having what I call a value conversation instead of a sales conversation. By doing that, you're once again focusing on the potential client, what is in their best interest. They're seeing the value of it. And that way you no longer have to sell or pitch your services. It takes away the most painful part of potential new client conversations. So these are the 5 steps of the Raise Your Rates formula: ideal client, communicate your value, package your services, value pricing, and consultation mastery.
Well, Lauren, before we get started, we're going to be looking at the 3 specific consultation questions. We have our first poll. So if you could go ahead and put that up there, that would be great. What's your selling comfort level? It's a necessary chore. I can take it or leave it. I love closing new clients, or it's not applicable. And once again, and once you get the answers to this, go ahead and please put those into the chat or the questions box. And I will be sure to get that information over to Lauren so that she can answer those questions for you. And right now, Lauren, we don't have any questions coming into the box, but I'll be sure to get those over to you as soon as possible. And by the way, I love the Raise Your Rates formula. I think that 5 steps is really, really excellent. And yeah, that was great.
And just once again, I want to reinforce what you were saying, Steve, is we are here. We want to be able to answer your questions. Please, if you have any questions coming up during today's training, go ahead and put them in the chat or send a direct message to Steve, and we will make sure that we get those taken care of.
Excellent. That would be great. Well, Lauren, I'm really curious. What does a network meeting have to do with a new client consultation?
Well, if you've ever been to a network meeting where you don't know the majority of the people in the room, you start to get into a conversation with another person, and that person goes on and on and on about themselves and how great everything is and everything that they are doing. And they might even be trying to pitch you or sell you into their service, not even knowing if you are a potential new client or you have an interest in that. It's possible that they will ask you a question about yourself. You start to answer it, and then they turn the conversation back around to themselves. They can't see that your eyes glazed over, just searching how to escape the conversation, or that you're totally tuned out, not really interested in anything that they have to say. And then after they've said everything that was on their mind, they hand you their business card, shake your hand, tell you what a pleasure it was meeting you, and then they move on. You are just drained at that point. And what I see is a lot of times when you're having an initial consultation with a potential new client, you are focusing on all the things that are important to you. You might be asking about bank accounts. You're asking about transactions. You might be wanting to know information about last year's tax returns. And you are asking data-driven questions without really knowing that much about them and what is of a concern, frustration, or importance to them. When that happens, it actually does 2 things. One is it's not a very memorable conversation when your potential new client is leaving, because you didn't really take the time to delve into them and know more about them as an individual or their needs regarding their businesses or something else. And it positions you more as a technician because you're asking about the specifics regarding bank accounts, taxes, those things that are specific to the work you do, as opposed to finding out more about what is of interest and concerns to them. So once again, you want to give before you get. That's done by asking great questions and really listening and paying attention. Those 3 steps of the golden rule that we talked about right at the beginning, you want to apply them during potential new client enrolling consultations.
Well, Lauren, I love this slide actually. And what does, I know that in order to have a business, you need to have clients. How do accounting professionals enroll new clients if they don't like the sales part?
Well, actually, the majority of accounting professionals I speak with do not enjoy the sales part 100 at all. Now, there's a select few of you that do, but most of them really don't. And part of it is that when you went through business school to get your degree, you might have had a marketing class, you might have had some other classes that help with business, but the majority of colleges do not offer anything on how to do in consultations on how to do sales. That is something that you have to figure out on your own. However, I know that it's possible most of you don't enjoy the sales part. Now, the other part of it is that most of your potential new clients, they don't want to be sold to. So the 2 of you are on the same page with that. Because of that, you actually want to have what I call a value conversation, where once again, you're focusing on what's of importance to the client as opposed to selling your services. It changes everything around. And by having that type of engaging conversation, a potential new client will see your value and they will actually ask you, how does this work? Because that you never have to pitch or sell your services.
Well, what does 70-30 have to do with any of this, Lauren?
Well, because like you, I didn't want to have to sell my services either. I had to find a way to be able to get beyond that. And that's when I came up with what's called the 70-30 rule. The 70-30 rule applies in all these different consultations or conversations that you're having. Once again, it applies to new client consultations. It applies to advisory sessions. It applies to network conversations. You want to be asking questions 70%. You want to be asking questions so that the other person is talking 70% of the time and you're only talking 30% of the time. Now, when you're in an initial consultation, maybe right now it's flipped, where you're actually doing 70% of the talking and they're only doing 30%. If that's true, then you're probably selling your services or pitching them, and that's not necessary. The way to be able to have an engaging conversation is for them to be doing 70% of the talking and you only do 30%. But you might be wondering, how do you do that? I know I'm doing much more than 30% now, probably more like 70%. How do I cut it back to 30% of the talking? And that's exactly what we're going to show you here.
Well, I've been in those conversations, where the other person never even bothered to ask anything about me. What do you suggest we focus on during this initial consultation?
Well, this is where we have what's called a value conversation instead of having to sell or pitch your services during the initial consultation. What you want to do is really step into your client's shoes and look at things from their perspective. This means understanding what their challenges are. What is it that's been a frustration for them? What have they been doing that they've been tolerating for much too long? What is a headache for them? And if you want to go ahead and put that in the chat, when new clients are coming to you, what do you see as a frustration? Something that they've been tolerating for too long, something that they see as a headache, and they just can't keep on letting things go that way any longer. They have to do something about it. So you want to find out what those challenges are, and then you want to be able to let them know how you had the solution to be able to resolve those challenges. So once again, find out about their challenges, and then next you want to educate them about how you can help them resolve those challenges so they no longer have to have those headaches, those frustrations, tolerating those things that are just mediocre or not really up to speed. By being able to connect the dots of their challenges with your solutions, that's when they see the value of working with you. When they see the value of working with you, they're not as price sensitive. They recognize that working with you is an investment, and that by working with you, they have more to gain than the fees that they are going to be paying you. As a result of that, you're working with better clients who are not price sensitive and respect and value the difference, the expertise, the insights that you bring to your service and how you're going to help them. So once again, a value conversation where you're stepping into their shoes, you're first understanding what their challenges are, you're educating what are the solutions that you can offer to resolve those things, and that is when they see the value of working with you.
Well, that's really great, Lauren, because I know that this is a system. First, you work with your clients so they know which questions to ask. However, I think you can also train their assistants to successfully enroll new clients so they don't have to do that directly. What are the best questions to ask during the initial consultation?
Well, you brought up a couple of really good points, Steve. Is first of all, this is a process. So this is something that you can actually go ahead and systematize and put into your practice. If you want, at some point, you might find that you're not the one that wants to have those initial consultations any longer. And you can go ahead and train someone on your team to do these initial consultations for you. Sometimes somebody on your team might actually do this better than you could yourself. And that way it is a win-win. It frees you up to do other higher level work. But what you want to do during a value conversation, which is how you're going to structure the initial consultation, is asking what I call discovery questions. And as you can see, there's 3 categories of discovery questions. The very first one is how much? How much more can you earn if we go ahead and do this work together? How much more time will you free up by not having to tolerate this any longer? What has been the cost of continuing to tolerate this? How has it maybe kept you from doing something else? So that's the things you want to work on, is focus on how much time and money it's either costing them or they can potentially gain by having you work with them and resolving these things. That's the first set of questions. The next set of questions, section 2, is emotional cost. This is where you want to find out about what they've been tolerating, the frustrations, how this is maybe creeping into other parts of their lives or keeping them from moving forward or adding stress to their already busy workday. And I know that you're not a therapist. You are doing accounting services, financials. However, the reason that you want to ask about the emotional cost is because when people are looking to work with you, they first have to feel that they can trust you and that you understand them. And they have to make that emotional decision, and then they justify it with logic. Therefore, we want to make sure that they feel that they can trust you, that you understand them, and that you really get the big picture of what it's been like for them and that you know how to be able to solve that. So that you have to get into the frustrations of what's going on in their current situation. And then as you do that, you can then, they will then justify the decision with logic. The other part though, section number 3, is the work-life equation. When you're speaking with business owners or with people about their finances, let's just face it, what is going on professionally for them affects their personal life too, especially if they're the business owner or an entrepreneur. When something is going on that has financial tension in their business, it overshadows into their personal life. Maybe they don't have enough cash flow to be able to add to their team. So they're working late hours, doing some of the back end work. They are working on evenings, getting things caught up to speed. If they are spending too much time in a consultation, they have to spend extra time at the end of the workday to be able to get back to some of their tasks because of the fact that they don't have additional people helping them out. So once again, there's this work-life equation. When something is off at work, it flows over to their personal life. But the other side of it is when there's something going on in their personal life, then it comes into their professional life also, where they might not be as focused. They might be distracted. They might be stressed out from something going on personally, and as a result of that, might not be as patient or have as much energy as they would if things were going really well in their personal life. So once again, there is this work-life equation. You want to let them know that you understand that and ask, how has, things going on in business that you're concerned about overflowed into your personal life, and find out if there's things going on in their personal life that affects them with how they show up professionally. So those are the 3 types of questions: is how much, which has to do with time and cost; emotional cost, which is frustrations, tolerations, headaches. Work-life equation is recognizing that instead of work being in one category and their personal life in another category, there is this ebb and flow. And when one thing is off, it might upset some other part of their life as well. These are some of the questions you want to be asking. So we talked about having those different discovery questions about the how much, the emotional part, the work-life equation. You want to be asking questions such as, what do you want to achieve in 12 months? Where are things now? How will you measure your success? What's possible once we resolve these challenges, and why now? Therefore, when you're getting what it is that they want to achieve in 12 months, you are understanding what their aspirations are, what it is that's important to them. When you're asking where things are, you're now figuring out the gap between where things are currently and where they want to be, and looking for how you can help them to close that gap. How will you measure success is giving you specifics about the KPIs, the key performance indicators, that will help them know if their work with you was successful or not. Does it have to do with reduced hours at work? Maybe they're able to take a much needed vacation that they couldn't take for the last 3 years. Possibly they're now starting to fund their retirement, which they could never do before. They're adding on another team member, which they didn't know if they could afford to add on or not. Or maybe it's that they are paying themselves more than they were before. There's more profit in their company. So you want to know what some of those key performance indicators are that will help them to measure success. Some of them might be very specific as far as hard numbers. Others might be a little bit softer regarding quality of life and peace of mind. The other thing is, once again, focusing on what's possible once you resolve those challenges, is helping them to actually envision what it will be like once they no longer have to tolerate those things. We remember, working with you starts out with an emotional decision and it gets justified with logic. So I want them to feel the relief of no longer tolerating those headaches, having to kind of work too many hours in order to be able to make ends meet. Let them see what it would be like to no longer have those things happen. And the why now question is because when someone is coming to work with you and engage your services, it's not when things are status quo, because most of us are busy. We have a full plate and we have a high tolerance level for the status quo. Something is usually happen that is making them all of a sudden pay attention and take action. Maybe it's that their staff person retired and is no longer going to be able to do their finances for them, and they need to have someone that can do this for them. It could be that they were doing it themselves. They no longer have the time or the energy to do it, and therefore they need someone else. Or possibly that it was being done before, but it wasn't being done correctly, and they don't have accurate insights to help them make strategic decisions about moving forward with their business or their finances. So you want to go ahead and find out why they're looking to engage with you now. It's usually there's something going on that spurred them into action. When I first met Susan, she did not value her services very much. In fact, she charged a lower than average price because she was focusing on quantity, thinking that she needed to have a lot of clients in order to be able to make ends meet. As a result, Susan was working those 7 days a week, those 70-hour weeks. I'm sure you might have been there before yourself, having those really long weeks and long days, and it feels like it's never ending. She was exhausted, burned out. It took time away from her spending time with her family. She didn't feel that she could step away to travel, because if she did, then she'd be coming back to even a greater workload than she originally had. Because of that, she knew that this wasn't sustainable. It couldn't go on like this. What we did is we focused on packaging her services, being able to understand her value, communicate her value, and putting those systems in place. As a result of her beginning to understand her ideal client, packaging her services, and then pricing them according to package, and then being able to communicate and guide someone through that enrolling conversation, she was able to make a difference. As you can see, because she's an accounting professional, everything is kept on a spreadsheet. She just gave me some numbers about a couple clients over a 9-month period. And just with these couple clients, she made an additional $56,000. But the other thing is, instead of working the 7 days, 70-hour weeks, she cut back to 3 days a week, 20-hour weeks. She almost felt guilty about having so much more free time while growing her bank account. But what I really want to do is bring your attention to cleanup number 1. Before we started working together, she would have charged $1,500 for that cleanup project, because she would have calculated it by the amount of hours times her hourly rate. And that's how she would have priced it. And knowing that probably once she got into the cleanup project, it would have been a lot messier than she estimated, and she would have just eaten the difference and not gone back to them to adjust the fees. We went ahead and had a conversation about the value of the cleanup project from the client's point of view. We priced it according to how much they would benefit from having accurate books and financials. We decided it would be $7,900 for the cleanup project, and that would be the value that they would see in it. This means that if they said yes, she would make an additional $6,400 in revenue without any additional time spent working. So once again, she followed the steps on how to have that consultation that I talked about, that value conversation, focusing on their needs, how they would gain, what's been the emotional cost of not having accurate financials, being able to have them ask, how does this work? She told them what the investment would be of $7,900 for the project. They said yes. And because she was following my system, she actually talked with them about paying for the project before she even got started. And they said yes to that as well. So once again, instead of earning $1,500 on this project, she earned $7,900, which was an additional $6,400 in profit. And just think about you. Imagine if you were able to navigate through the enrolling process where you were talking with ideal clients who valued you, respected you, saw the importance of you doing the work, and they were willing to say yes to having a value conversation, moving forward and investing in your services. So Susan did not have the confidence to do this. She had the courage to do something differently than what she currently had been doing, because she knew that what she had been doing wasn't sustainable. She was already burning out, and it was taking a toll not only on her, but her quality of life with her family. So once again, doing something like this takes courage. The confidence comes later.
Well, Lauren, I know that we have a free resource which goes along with this particular section. And that free resource is at businesssuccesssolution.com/script. That's businesssuccesssolution.com/script. And we'll go ahead and put that into the chat. And now before we move forward, which is going to be engaging new clients, we have our next poll, which is, do you offer advisory services? And the answer is yes, I do, or no, I don't, or I'm unsure, or it's not applicable. So once again, do you offer advisory services? Yes, no, unsure, or not applicable. And Lauren, I will get any questions over to you that I have right now. I don't have any questions in the chat box, but we can go ahead and move on to our next portion. Well, Lauren, there's a trend for accounting professionals to now offer advisory services and advisory sessions. Why is that so important to them?
Well, basically, when you're looking at your services from your point of view, you might be focusing on how much time something takes, what's the cost of it, maybe building in some profit margin when you're pricing your services. However, if you go ahead and look at this from your client's point of view, where you're stepping into their shoes, from their point of view, your highest value is what you know. That's your intellectual property. That is what's in your head. It is the insights that you have, your wisdom from doing this over and over and over again for a wide variety of clients, the knowledge that you gain from being able to continue to learn and gain mastery in what it is that you do regarding the financials. So from your client's point of view, what they see as your highest value is what you know, that's your expertise, that's your insights, as opposed to what you do. What you do, the tasks, the technical parts, the time are more important to you than your clients. Therefore, your highest value from their point of view is what you know, not what you do. And from some research that I did before putting together this presentation for you, I found that on CPAcom, they did research and found that 60% of accounting professionals now offer some type of advisory services. Advisory services are something that you've been reading about, whether it is on different industry platforms, going to different conferences, maybe even here, but you've been hearing about advisory services as being something important that you ought to be adding into your offerings over and over and over again. So once again, CPA.com says that 60% of accounting professionals now offer some type of advisory services.
Lauren, many owners, they really lack the insight about their own financials, and that impacts their cash flow and the overall financial health of their business. What can accounting professionals do to assist their clients with the financials?
Well, think about your clients. They don't know the financials to the same degree that you do. They don't understand it. Some of them understand that it's important, but they find it confusing or they're not able to do it accurately. As a result, it becomes costly to them. And it might be actually affecting their profitability. It might be affecting their growth. It might be just adding frustration. Because of that, I believe that your clients deeply need what you have to offer. I believe that accounting professionals are unsung heroes. The difference that you make for your clients is significant. You can give them insights to make better decisions regarding their businesses, help them with their financials, give them the advice needed to be able to grow, to be able to really keep their business and their doors open, even when there might be a sudden turn or downturn in the economy. So as an accounting professional, knowing and understanding financials, I believe you are the perfect person to have your hands in their financials, because to you, the numbers tell a story. You understand that when you look at the numbers, you can read things and interpret things that most other people are unable to do, that you can see patterns, you can see trends, you can gain insights, and you are the one that ought to be interpreting that and sharing that with their clients, your clients, in order for them to be able to make the best possible decisions that they can. That is exactly why I think that your clients need you, that we need to lead with the value of what you do, the difference that you make for them, is because you are uniquely positioned to understand the numbers and the story behind the numbers much better than your clients are. And it will make a difference for them.
Lauren, you're talking about what's called intellectual property. It's the knowledge that we've acquired over time. How do your clients get this into their practice? How do they add this into their practice?
Well, part of what you want to look at is, I was mentioning earlier, is step number 3 of my Raise Your Rates formula, is you want to start bundling your services together in order to offer packages. And that starts to separate your fees and time, but it also allows you then build advisory services into the services that you're doing for your clients. And advisory services can be done in a multiple variety of ways. It could be that you're offering individual clients advisory services, which would be more like consultations, where you're focusing on educating them about financials, you're helping them be able to make future focused decisions because you're tracking the KPIs or you're forecasting with them. You might be helping them with budgeting. You might simply be helping them with understanding how to accurately read the financial reports that you're giving them and going over their numbers. So that is one type of advisory services, is the consultations. The second type of advisory services is where you're actually doing trainings. It could be where you're doing a training to someone's staff and teaching them about how to be able to understand the financials better or use the software better. It could also be doing trainings to a group of professionals that you tend to serve, but they are not your clients yet, where this could be a workshop. This could be a hosted training on some other platform where you're being brought in to speak and train on that topic. So that is where it would be one to many. And when you're doing trainings to many people at one time, it gives you the ability, especially if you're hosting it, to have leveraged income. And then the third type of advisory services is where you can eventually put your intellectual property, how you know something, how you can teach them to be able to do something on their own through a course. You can put together a series of training videos that people can then go ahead and purchase and be able to go through on their own. So it's self-paced learning, but it teaches them how to do something specific. And as a result of having courses available that people can go through on their own, this creates passive income for you. So these are the three different types of ways to offer advisory services where you're being paid for your intellectual property. It's what you know, not the technical part, is by doing it one-to-one, which is consultations, offering trainings, which would be one-to-many, which creates leveraged income, or having courses where people can do self-study on their own, and that would create passive streams of revenue for you. Some of the benefits from having financial insights is that your clients can make better informed business decisions. So when you're having advisory with meetings with your clients, these are some of the benefits for them. They are making better decisions regarding their business. Can they go ahead and invest in maybe growing and expanding their business by adding on a new team member? Maybe they want to do another build out or open up a new location. So they are able to make better informed decisions. Is it they're going to be able to increase profits because you're looking at their numbers and giving them some insights and feedback about where they might be more profitable or how to be able to reduce costs in order to increase their profitability as well. Number three is improving cash flow. You might be giving them some insights about where there's outstanding AR. Maybe they're not invoicing on a regular basis and they need to have a system in place to do that, where you can help them create the system. Or it could be that they have redundancies in their in what they're paying for each month, paying for services that they're not even using. And because you're going through the different transactions and categorizing them, you can come back, ask questions, and let them know that they might be paying for something and it's redundant, or they're paying for a subscription that they haven't used in 6 months, and they might want to rethink keeping that. Number four is growth strategies, where you give them insights on how to be able to expand, whether it's expanding into another location, whether it's expanding their team, whether it is just expanding their profits and their bank account by being able to work with a higher value service, adding in another service offering. So you can give them some strategies and insights when they're thinking about growth and expansion. And then number five, which is sometimes overlooked, but so important, is how to avoid potential problems. It is possible that by you working with other clients, other businesses, you're able to foresee client problems that they're going to have down the road that they're not up against yet, just because they're not at that point yet. And you can actually help them prevent those problems or reduce costly mistakes. So those are the things that you can think about that I see when you're offering advisory services. Is they're making better informed business decisions, they have increased profits, improved cash flow, growth strategy insights, and they can avoid those potential problems. When I was first talking with Devin, she has a specialty, but she didn't realize the value of the specialty that she offered. She works with a specific niche, which is law firms. But the other part of it is she's actually a licensed practicing attorney herself. So she knows both sides of the business. She knows how to do the accounting for law firms, but she also knows the business side of it because she has her own law firm as well. Because of that, she had a potential new client coming to her that needed to get their business up into the cloud instead of being in-house because they were making that transition out of an in-person business. Every week that they were not in the cloud was costing them thousands and thousands of dollars. By being able to help them make that transition into the cloud, they knew that they would be more profitable. They would be able to expand their team. It didn't need to be regional any longer. And as a result, they were going to be able to expand their practice. Because Devin now knew how to focus on the value of what she would be doing for them regarding their service, the consultative piece with the advisory part, as well as getting them transitioned into the cloud for their bookkeeping and finances, she went ahead and priced this proposal at $40,000. If she was to price it before we started working together, she would have priced it at $5,000. But she followed the system that I was teaching you here. She priced at $40,000 because they knew how much it was costing them every week that they weren't in the cloud. It was a no-brainer for them. They said yes. They paid her the $40,000 up front before she even got started doing the work. Because they went ahead and paid her up front, she was able to take a part-time assistant who had been wanting to bring on full-time and finally bring that part-time assistant onto full-time. As a result of having those additional hours for that assistant, she was able to get some of the technical work off of her plate onto this new assistant. This allowed her to focus on her highest level services of the advisory part, as well as doing business development. And just think about you, if you were able to price your services according to value and you had that influx of cash, what would you be able to do to continue investing in your business because you now had the cash flow to do that?
Well, that's great, Lauren. It's really interesting information. So what's next is going to be the 6 simple networking steps, but we are going to be launching our next poll, which is, what's your networking preference? The more people, the better. I like small gatherings are really my style. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of my time and also my energy, or it's not applicable. So once again, what's your networking preference? The more people, the better. Small gatherings are my style. It's a waste of my time and energy, or it's not applicable. And we will go ahead and post that poll. And if you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat box or the questions box, and I will be sure to get those questions over to Lauren so that she can answer those questions for us right live here. And so let's talk about this 40% close rate, Lauren. Tell me some more about that.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go ahead and take it from here, Steve.
Okay.
Is that research has found, according to HubSpot, is if you have an in-person conversation with somebody, where it's face-to-face, it could be in-person virtually, camera to camera, it could be in-person in the same room, you are going to increase the odds of closing that person into a new client by 40%. It stacks the odds in your favor when you're having an engaging conversation with them. And this is my simple strategy for networking events. If you go out networking, you find that it's not something that comes easy to you. When you are in the room, it feels overwhelming. You really don't know how to navigate it. You're doing it because you think that you ought to, or that'll help your business, but you know you can be more effective. Then I'm going to go through the steps to be able to go ahead and increase the vibration, up-level your networking skills. So the very first thing is strategy first. Before you even go to the network meeting, whether it's virtual or in person, you want to have some ideas as to what will make this a successful event for you. If you're going to take time away from your life or your business to go to a networking meeting, I want it to have a return on its investment. What I want you to think about is what would make this successful for you. Is it that you want to meet 3 people? Maybe you want to have 3 coffee meetings set up as a result of going to this meeting with potential new clients or referral sources. But what I would suggest is having something in mind as to what would make it really worthwhile for you is going to be getting you a better result than if you go with no specific intentions at all. So once again, think about what you want to walk away with that would make this a successful meeting for you. The next thing is interest in others. I want you to once again follow the golden rules. I want you to pay attention to others. I want you to be interested in what's important to them. Focus on asking great questions about what is it that you're doing? How does this work for you? But really take an interest in other people by asking questions and paying attention. Something to think about with this is possibly having some questions in your back pocket that you can use when you're first meeting with people. So think about those questions that might start to break the ice, and you can pull them out when you meet someone that you've never met before at a networking event. And this goes with the mix and mingle, which is number 3. If you are more of an introvert than an extrovert, mixing and mingling with a group of strangers feels painful. It's uncomfortable. It challenges your limits. I absolutely understand that. So once again, I just want you to think about what would be those questions that you want to ask about them. Maybe find out why they got into this profession, if they're working on any interesting projects. Those are 2 good things to be able to find out. You can also see if there's any current challenges that they are having right now. So those are some things, but this is the other thing I want you to think about as an advanced move. You will eventually get trapped in a conversation with someone who is solely focused on themselves and not really interested that much in you at all. What you want to do is have your exit line. Instead of feeling trapped in a conversation when you're talking to that person where it's dull, you're checking out, your eyes are glazing over, and they don't even realize it, you want to be able to have your escape route. So that could be that you have to go to the bathroom. That's a great one to get out of conversation. Or it could be thanking them very much and that you wanted to have an opportunity to meet some other people in the room and you appreciate learning more about them. So those are 2 ways to be able to go ahead and escape from a conversation that is not very engaging for you. Number 4 is the party host, because if you're going to an event, especially if it's larger than what you really like, then it's easy to get lost in the crowd. And what I have learned is that if I go to an event with the mindset that this is my party, even if it's not, but if I bring that mindset to this is my party to the event, then I'm going in with a different energy and mindset than if I'm going in with, I don't know anybody in this really big room with tons of people and it's really loud. So if I go with the mindset that this is my event, and I'm the party host, I want to make sure that other people are having a good time. And I might be talking to people, meeting them, asking questions, and then maybe even introducing them to somebody else, and then moving on to another conversation. So approach this as if you're the party host and really take charge and make sure that other people are having a good time. And then number 5 is being able to lead with questions. As I said, you want to have those great questions in your back pocket, because when you're asking questions and you know a couple of questions that you can ask right off the bat, then you're going to have a better conversation. It's going to be more memorable to the other person than if you're both standing around and you are asking absolutely nothing. And then the next thing you want to do is do number 6, exercise the bridger muscle. The bridger muscle is where you are a connector. Think about the fact that when you go into a networking event, or you're even meeting someone one-to-one for coffee in a network meeting, that person might be a great introduction to somebody else that you know. So think about who it is that you know that you might be able to introduce them to, or maybe there's a way that you can give them some insights, or be able to do something else where you're giving first and you're making a connection, or you're giving them some insights that they can take away and they will feel that this is a memorable, engaging conversation, and really happy that they took the time to meet with you. When I first met Ingrid, she is an introvert. She did not enjoy networking whatsoever. The big rooms intimidated her. And what we did is we really focused on who her ideal client was, how to communicate her value. She started going out to industry conferences where her ideal clients were. And as a result of that, she actually started getting invited to speak at those conferences and contribute as well. By being able to get out there and exercise her bridge of muscle and following those 6 steps of the simple networking strategy, she was able to double her business and cut away 30% of her clients. But the other part is that she was also named as one of the top 40 under 40 women in accounting and was an Intuit Firm of the Future winner. So let's go ahead and launch our last poll, Steve.
Sure. So how interested are you in talking with Lauren about your consultations? I'd like to schedule a 15-minute consult with Lauren. This looks interesting. I'd like to find out more, or I'm not interested at this particular time. And we'll go ahead and launch that poll. And what we covered today was 3 specific consultation questions, how to do engaging advisory sessions, and 6 simple networking steps. And Lauren, you really shared a lot. I know you talk with high value clients when you pre-qualify them, and you confidently lead them through a value conversation. However, I think that there are some in the audience that would love to be able to get this done and don't want to figure this out on their own. What do you recommend for our listeners who are ready to engage in high value winning conversations and to lead with value?
Well, if this is something that is of interest to you, you want to go ahead and implement this into your practice, then I went ahead and put aside 4 complimentary Path to Profit strategy sessions. This is where we have a dedicated conversation about you, how to be able to double or even triple your income by having engaging conversations and separating your fees from time in order to earn more without having to work additional hours. Once again, if that is of interest to you, it is a Path to Profit strategy session. It does have a $500 value. However, it is complimentary, and you can go to businesssuccesssolution.com/let's talk and let me know that you are interested. Once again, businesssuccesssolution.com/let's talk. And I appreciate you taking time from working in your business to working on your business. It is an advanced move, gaining insights, education, and just that one thing that you can take away, implement in order to get better results and serve your clients at a higher level, having those winning conversations. Thank you so much.